I'm extremely grateful to both the people coordinating the workshops and to our support from KPMG. I'm going to ask both the workshops to come back and report now, just with some brief synopsis, and then I have some outcomes from the meeting, and we'll finish just with a brief presentation or brief comment from Annie Burgess on behalf of the States of Alderney as co-host for the meeting. So if you wouldn't mind, I will start with calling Lee up to give a brief synopsis on the ESG, because I'm not entirely sure I can present this. Would you like to, have we got anybody else around? Who are you looking for?
No, I was going to lure a couple of people to help me, Rachel.
There we go.
From you. Where is Ellen as well? Ellen's hiding though. No, I'm sorry.
Oh, my talking.
Go on then.
You could come back in front of the mic a bit, that'd be great. Sorry.
Sorry, only because Ellen chaired on the group. So, ESG. So, in summary, I won't read all it says on there. The three things that came out of it was, one, we need training and upskilling as a group.
Sorry.
Training and upskilling. The other one that came out as well was that we need a platform, and that platform could be something like a portal. So I think the vision was that there's basically almost a dating agency between corporates and ESG projects, where people could potentially go. So ESG, corporate could maybe go and look at projects that were online. Yes. Mm-hmm. And how do we actually do that as a portal? Platform to link those up. And then the third strand there was potentially the need for a post. So Jonathan, is Jonathan still here?
No, you have to go, yeah.
Hopefully he'll watch the recording. So maybe KPMG funded, maybe the corporate funded. That's the conversation. Because certainly the conversations I had in the Isle of Man with KPMG, they're infused about this so much that they want the pipeline to be created. And if the pipeline enabler is someone that can enable us to come up with good projects that they can then draw off for them or their clients, then that seems to be the option. So there was a unanimous on that. Ladies, I'm going to ask if you want anything else on that first one.
I think it was just the fact that when we looked at ESG, it was kind of like, do we understand what it means? Do we understand what the corporate's looking for? And do we understand what we have to offer? And what are our red lines? What do we want to make sure that we get in there and benefit from? Because it's not just something where we want the funding. What are the additional things that we want to get out of it? So that was kind of the premise for the training and understanding, really, is kind of linking all of that up, and so we could all be on the same page.
I think there was a big element of that training and upskilling about how do we actually, and I was in that world. I remember asking KPMG, do you actually want this? How do we get your dosh? And it was as simple as that. And I had loads of conversations. If I don't get it, then people today in one workshop are not going to get it. But I am rock certain that the opportunity is there if we get it right.
Did you mention the SDGs as well?
No.
I think Jonathan from KPMG was really interested in sort of across the world we would recognise SDGs as a way, the Sustainable Development Goals. And I think the work that we're doing here, we could sort of specify how we align to those. He was really interested in that area, and I think for some reason we don't work so much with it at our organisation. I know we touch on it, but I think, looking at working with corporations, that seemed like an important element.
It was interesting. So the Isle of Man government and the UNESCO Viceroy really focused on the SDGs. That's something that Joe Overton and the team are really, everything, school programmes right across the island. And I think it was only Guernsey said that was on the agenda. So if I do a quick straw poll here, who in their work, hands up quickly, talks about, UN Sustainable Development Goals and what they're doing. So it's not lots, is it? We're not all putting our hands up. When you look at them, go Google it and look at them and go, wow, we're doing that and that and that and that and that and that and that. Maybe if the corporates want to fund that and that, we need to showcase that we're doing that. In the collaboration one, I think that was more of a challenge, but that understanding came out again. We matched that up. We split into two subgroups to do this. Again, they came up with a portal independently, that platform, that portal, that place where you can go and get information, the upskilling elements. And then the last one, and again, I'll pass the ladies, do you want to talk something around the governance? liability and risk, you mentioned, Rachel.
Yeah, well, that was really linking to the idea of understanding what we're getting into. Really, ESG commitments, carbon commitments, whatever it is, it's a legal contract, and just understanding the risk that we're opening ourselves up to, what we've signed up to deliver, and how we can almost mitigate that in some of the contractual clauses is really important. I think to safeguard our own organisations and the objectives we're trying to address.
And there was one other topic, I think, last one for me around this was around red lines for different organisations and people. So I admit to being pragmatic, maybe overly so sometimes, but that would tend me to work with people where others may not. So I think there's a wider conversation for us as a sector about who would want. But if we did it in such a way that you didn't have, it wasn't a case of if there's a seagrass project, everyone, it's all or nothing. You know, a seagrass project could be creative. People might fund, you know, funding might have specific outputs. If people wanted to opt in, that's fine. So maybe, in my vision, if you like, it's not too complex so that people don't feel shackled to someone else if they don't feel that that's right for their ethics. And I think that could be worked out, couldn't it? But you're definitely right with liability and risk. And I think the last point was the lesser backed, the lesser backed flashy fish. Yeah. Maybe it exists across Pan Islands that we can go and get lots of money to help us all do research and sustain it. Happy?
Yeah. Did you talk about coordinator post? Did you talk about the coordinator post? You did that. Yeah. Well done. Cool.
Sorry to
Thank
drop on you there.
Great, thank you guys, really appreciate it. I'm sorry we're not going to be able to have a huge amount of feedback now. We're not going to have any feedback now, if I'm honest, on the workshops. We will get a chance, these will go up, we will get those minutes captured and we will get it up on the website afterwards. And all those attending, we will make sure you know where to go look for those, and we would like feedback to come in and continue through. Francis, can I get you to come forward and try and summarise this one? Don't worry, that was an empty one, it sounded empty.
Okay, we were tasked with looking at collaborative response to invasive non-native species. We had three sections we looked at. One was around the need to share and collaborate more information. So we all were agreed that rather than us all doing individual pieces of work, such as top 10 list of alert species or horizon scanning, management of established inns, rather than just write our own stuff, we need to be working collaboratively to see what we can share and what we can kind of work on together, or maybe divvy things up so we can share those projects. Second bit was a rapid response, early detection. Basically, we thought that early detection, there's a big role for the general public, there's community, citizen science, but the verification of species to know exactly what you're dealing with probably requires more expertise, which we think we've got on island anyway. It's more about just connecting with the right people, so we may need to use a botanist on one island, and somebody else has got a bird expert, so we've got the expertise, I think, to do this. Rapid response is more of a technical thing where you really need skilled people to know what they're doing, to do it properly and to do it in the right way. We're looking at either employed people or good skilled volunteers. We discussed there's a problem with maintaining a viable workforce, that there's a thing around getting younger people into these careers and developing them and having a career structure, so there's a big question around having enough people in the future to do this work. Yeah, there's a role for volunteers as well, but the important thing is that it needs to be supervised if you're using the general public. And then finally, what message do we want to take away? Basically, a big thing that came out of this is that we ought to be meeting to look at invasive species more than once a year, and we can do that with having a pan-island group. Looking at starting in Jersey, they've already offered to host it. Representatives from Albany and Sark, but also to involve the NGOs, so we're having volunteer coordinators. And we would have certain agendas that we could roll each year and bring in other people as we need to. But we thought we'd call it a Channel Island invasive species on the species framework. Yep.